Hello, welcome to Sheffield Board Gamers Podcast. My name is Rick, and this is episode 63. Today I'm joined by Tom Lovewell. Hello, Tom.
Hi, Rick. Nice to meet you again.
Hello, thanks for coming on again. Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? You haven't been on for a while.
It has, yeah. Well,
yeah.
I'm the splitter. I think it was 5 years ago I ran away from Sheffield, so I'm still grateful that you'll let me come back.
Wow. Doesn't seem like it. It's gone quick, that, I think. Yeah, so, good. Thank you for coming on. Anyway, it's good to talk to you again. We're going to talk about some of the board games that we've been playing recently. Yeah. We're going to discuss Games Expo that's coming up soon. What are your plans for that? And we're going to talk about some of the games that we've played. But before that, last episode I mentioned that there's a new board game cafe opened up in Sheffield called Gamers Guide. So I wanted to go down and check it out. So I went down a couple of weeks ago and had a quick look round. It's quite small compared to Treehouse. Obviously, Treehouse is a big sort of place, and it's got a big library. And this is obviously only it's a lot smaller room. There's actually two rooms sort of next to each other, but they have got a nice little library, a good selection of games. I like that they've got sort of kids games. They've got like a lot of sort of games for all ages, as well as your normal Ticket to Ride and Carcassonne and Catan and things like that. They've got a few good kids selections, but also they've got a lot of heavier games as well. So that's it was fairly quiet. Sorry, excuse me. I went down on a Sunday, and it was fairly quiet. There weren't many people in. So I met a couple of friends there, and we played a couple of quick games just to hang out and have some food and have some drinks. The serves food and drinks. They're pretty good. We had some sandwiches and some coffees and things like that. So it's good. It's good that there's more choice. It's a bit more central than Treehouse. I don't know if you can remember where Treehouse is, but it's
I know where Treehouse was. To be fair, it was a stone's throw. A very short walk from where I used to live. Just off Bramall Lane, really, isn't it?
That's it.
So.
Yeah, it's down that end. But this is bang central. This is right next to the cathedral.
Oh, crikey, the top of the that's really good.
So it's a brilliant location. It's really easy to get to. It's right on the tram line as well. So if you're going in on the tram, it's the stops virtually bang outside it. It was a good experience. I enjoyed going there. I think it's obviously early days, so we'll see how it kind of grows and how they progress, whether they change the library. Oh, the tables are quite good. I wanted to mention those. They've got like some board game tables with like cutouts in for your drinks and things, like proper tables. They weren't just like normal sort of bar tables kind of thing. They were sort of specifically designed for board games, but they were big enough to put like a decent sized board on, and they've got all the chairs were comfy and everything, which is obviously quite important when you're setting up this kind of thing. So there's obviously a lot of thoughts gone into it and a lot of thoughts about how it's going to work and everything.
So what you'd say is it is literally, we thought about doing board games and put it together as a cafe rather than we're a cafe. What else can we do? Let's put some board games in there. Board gaming bit. Chance Encounters in Bristol is really nice because they have that kind of setup with their tables. And it makes a difference, doesn't it? Where you're sat there going, right, I've got to put the board here. I've got my own little area here with all my tokens or cards or whatever. And where the heck am I going to put my cold drink that's, the water's condensing on the sides and dripping
water?
Or what's going to happen when delightful child accidentally spills their apple juice all over things? There's that safe space, isn't there?
Yeah. it was good. I recommend calling in. There were people there just having a drink as well. There were people just calling in for a coffee and just having something to eat and not playing any games and just having a look around. So there was a bit of that as well. But yeah, definitely good to have more of those kind of places in Sheffield.
Is it a place where you have to pay for the table, or just as long as you're buying drinks and food, it's fine? Or
there's a table charge as well. So if you're buying drinks, I think there is a small charge. I think it's like £3.50 or something. So it's not a huge amount, but you do pay for the privilege, which is fine. I mean, it's like, I know you can pay for free at home and you can go to the club and stuff and play for free, but I don't mind paying a little bit if it's a place like that and it's nice and comfortable and stuff. And obviously they've got to make a living out of it. So
Well, I completely understand that. Having played some board games at a board game cafe that have been very well loved, that table charge helps
Yeah.
them go, that copy of Exploding Kittens, which literally has now imploded because all the bits, everything's got grimy
Yeah.
fingers times 100 on there, and the edges are a bit frayed. We need to replace that. So I do get
Yeah.
why they need to charge for the food as your prime bit of business, but to keep on top of replacing the well loved stuff, but B, keeping up with the new hotness. I think it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, in Gloucester, at the start of the Easter holidays, a brand new Firestorm Games opened up, which, yes, it's a game store, but it also has some 2 rooms upstairs for either miniature games, some board games, some role-playing games, and CCGs. So,
yeah.
it
It must be quite big then, because I think like the Warhammer type tables are a lot bigger than like a board game table, aren't they? They're like 4 feet by 4 feet or something usually.
A good miniatures war game table starts off at 4x6, and you can get to bigger than that. So you've got 4 in one room, and then a room above that. So it's not as enormous as the Firestorm Games in Cardiff, where that's a warehouse.
Right.
And I mean, if you've never been to the Firestorm Games in Cardiff, it's worth going once. You just go there, and they have got, for those of you in Sheffield, if you've ever been to Patriot Games, that kind of space-ish, and the new Patriot Games, not some of their previous incarnations, in various points across the city. Their newest venue, I think, is the largest they've owned. And the space they've got available at Firestorm in Cardiff for just sales stuff is about the same as Patriot Games in Sheffield. But then you've got a massive tables downstairs, some for miniatures games, some at the back for CCGs, and then they've got an upstairs with a cafe and more games happening there. It was just enormous. And the only issue with it is there's not enough parking.
Oh, right, yeah.
We got there, and trying to find somewhere to park was challenging. This was about midday on a Saturday. Now, admittedly, we decided to go to Cardiff for an event on the day that the England rugby team were playing the Welsh rugby team in Cardiff.
Right.
Whoops. Yes, and this is a current Welsh rugby team that unfortunately is struggling a little bit, but we're digressing away from the board games, so let's get back to them. The one in Gloucester, however, it's appropriate for the kind of board gaming scene we've got around here. It's quite nice, it's small, it fits, it's on the high street, so it's in a really good location. So I think both these new ventures probably wish them well.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I've been up to is I've been playing Oblivion Remastered. So that's just been released. I've been playing that on the PC, so not really board game related, but one of my favourite games, one of a lot of people's favourite games probably over the past 20 years. But they've released a new version now, so I've been playing that quite a bit. That's been taking up a bit of time.
For someone who's just been playing Fortnite with their son and other bits, I've not hit Oblivion. So is this worth trying, or don't go down that rabbit hole?
It's just as janky as it used to be back in the day. So be prepared for a 2006 style game. It's not like a modern game. It definitely shows its age. They've improved the graphics and the sort of presentation of it, but the actual game itself and the bugs and the the stuttering and stuff is still there. But it's still fantastic. Yeah, still a fantastic role playing game. Yeah, that
good.
I'll probably spend hours playing. I've spent hours playing already, so that was a good surprise to have because they sort of just released it and said, "There you go, it's ready to download now." So yeah, I thought I'll download that and start playing it. And yeah, it's good. It's good.
Last weekend of the school holidays round here, because we only went back to school on Monday, was the Here for Games convention in Hereford. So you've probably seen the Hereford board gamers because they go to Aircon pretty much every year.
Yeah.
So they were there. They had their giant Absuro, giant Where's My Fish, and all of the things that they normally do, but they were running their own board game convention. And what was brilliant was it was free. Don't have to, we just had to make our way over to Hereford, which isn't a million miles away from where we were in Gloucester. They do encourage you to use the local, they've got a cafe there, and it was please use this, please take part in the raffles and other things, because whilst we're free, there is a cost to hire things, and we'd also like to donate to charity.
Yeah.
And basically, the only thing that wasn't covered was people volunteering their time. So no one earned any money because everyone volunteered their time, but they covered their running costs. They donated a decent amount to charity, which was to Herefordshire Mind.
Yeah.
So great charity to donate to. And when I went there, it basically struck me as Aircon just small. So a lot of it was people play games. There's a small amount of people doing some demos or with their own stalls. So there were some trade stands, a little bit around the edge. Not many, but a few. No, nothing particularly big. There was Bez from Stuff by Bez. So I met up with her because I hadn't seen her for ages. Dave Weatherall is a local games designer who I interviewed 5 years ago from Aircon, and he was there doing some playtesting. I didn't have much time to go around some of the other small stalls that were there, but there were literally some independent game stalls, some people selling some 3D printed terrain, some people doing some gaming-related knickknacks, so either knitted items or some dice and other things. So, and it was plenty of open gaming for the library. They ran a huge number of Blood on the Clock Tower sessions, and there were some RPGs that ran periodically through the day. There was a free come along here and do some painting space, so properly open and inclusive to everybody. It was really nice to see.
Yeah, I've listened to their. They've got a podcast as well, and I listen to their podcast, and they do a lot of charity stuff and stuff like this. And like I said, they attend Aircon with the giant games and volunteer a lot of time and stuff. So they do a lot for the community, and I think that should be applauded. It's a really good thing that they're doing there. So sounds good. Yeah. What was the kind of room like? Was it sort of a biggish room, or how was it size wise?
So they had hired the Hereford Skate Park. So it was a decent, a big-sized high school gym sort of style space.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's probably the best way to cover it. So I would guess about 2 basketball courts side by side, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
As an approximate space. Because that wasn't the only space. They had some rooms elsewhere where they were doing Blood on the Clock Tower. So that was... So my wife and my son went and played Blood on the Clock Tower for one of the sessions on the Saturday and seemed to enjoy that. And they had a monster of a raffle. So I think there's over 100 games that you could win from in-presence raffle system. And then there's some online raffles as well. Wow. So that seemed to be the one thing that seemed unique to them compared to other conventions I'd been to.
Yeah. But sounds good. Brilliant.
Well worth going to. And I'm now gearing up for UK Games Expo, but probably worth talking about that at the end of the episode, would you say?
Yeah, that's the next. That's the next big convention that's coming up, isn't it? So we'll have a chat about that in a little bit. But before that, do you want to have a quick talk about the games that we've been playing recently? I've played a couple of new ones that are new to me.
Yeah, go. I'm going to go back into the depths of time a little bit with mine.
Oh, okay. So. Well, the first one that I've got is not a new game. It's quite it's a few years old. It's Treasure Island. This is the 2018 one. So we were joking before we started recording about how many Treasure Island games there are. I think we both did the same thing. We went on BGG and typed in Treasure Island, and like it comes up with
that was a mistake.
Screen full of games. Yeah. So this is the fairly recent one from 2018. I can tell you who it's designed by. Mark Paquin, I think, artist Vincent Dutrait. Plays between 2 and 5 players and takes about 45 minutes. So I think that's about right. It took us about an hour, I think, but we're all fairly new to it. So it's kind of what you'd expect with the teaching and everything. So Treasure Island basically is a treasure hunt. So one of the players will be playing Long John Silver, and he's buried his treasure somewhere on the island, and the other players are running around trying to find it. So the way that you find it is that you'll get clues from the player who's playing Long John Silver. You'll get sometimes you'll get directions. It's north of where you are, it's east of where you are, things like that. You'll get hints of what area it's in. So there are some little cards that tell you kind of what area it's not in, so you can eliminate those from your looking around. The way that you actually hunt for the treasure is quite cool. The whole board that you play on, it's like a big picture of an island sort of viewed from above. It's like a dry erase board, and all the players have different coloured markers. So when you have like a little miniature figure that starts off at a certain spot on the board, and when you move somewhere else, you draw a line on the board and in your colour. So you can move around the board, you can move to, like you could do a long walk or ride a horse and go a bit further. And then you can search for the treasure. So you get like a little circle and you can draw a circle to say where you're looking for it. And then Long John Silver will tell you whether you've got it or not. So most of the time it'll be not. You'll not have found the treasure, but you might have found a hint that gives you a few more details of where it is. And each player will have their own little dry erase board as well, which is like a miniature version of the main board. So what you can do on that is you can draw, as you're eliminating sort of places that you don't think the treasure is going to be, you can cross those off your board and make notes and things like that, which is quite cool. So again, it's like a dry erase sort of board that you get behind a shield. So yeah, you're basically running around the island, sort of drawing these circles, trying to find out where the treasure is. Every now and then you'll get a hint from Long John Silver. So there's various different hints that he can give you, depending on. Some of them are public as well, some of them are private. So you might tell one player one certain thing, and then obviously you don't know what they've told him. So that player might start heading off in a different direction. So you can choose to, follow them or keep on your own track and try and find out, the direction you were going. So that's quite cool how that worked. Towards the end of the game, it's sort of on a timer as well. There's like a track at the top which counts down. So eventually this timer will run out, and then when the timer runs out, Long John Silver's actually going to come onto the board himself. So the player who's playing that player obviously knows where the treasure is, and he's going to start heading towards the treasure and trying to grab it before the players figure out where it's buried. So in the final stage of the game, it's kind of a rush to, we're on this side of a board, but Long John Silver's now heading over this way, so we need to, is he bluffing? Is he going to sort of do a U-turn and come back again, or is he actually heading to where it is?
So is that so a bit like the hidden villain? Do you know who's going to be Long John Silver?
Yes, yeah, that player's, picks it at the start, and then he's going to be in control. So yeah, you know who that is at the start. Okay. And they just play from behind the screen, so he's got a hidden screen, and they'll be giving out hints as to where he's hidden the treasure. It could be, we didn't find this in our game, but it could be that someone finds it like on the first turn. So if somebody sort of moves somewhere and draws a circle and says, I'm searching here, and it is there, then it could be over really quickly. I don't know if that's actually happened, but we were warned it could be possible. So I don't know how often that would happen, but I guess it might happen every now and then. But
yes. A 1 in 10 chance or 1 in 30 chance of being utterly frustrated.
This is the thing. You look at the board, and it's just like a normal shaped board, obviously squared with an aerial photo of artwork of an island on it. You think, it'll not take as long to sort of cover this entire island. But when you draw the circle, it's like a plastic kind of template that you draw around. When you draw one of these circles, it's surprisingly small how little they are on the board and how many you actually need to cover even a small portion of it. So you can't just randomly start digging somewhere and find it unless you're exceptionally lucky. You do need to sort of be guided somewhat by the clues and by what other people are doing to exactly where you need to go. So one of the players did find it at the end. We did actually find it. Long John Silver was literally like one step away from it, and we managed to find it before he got to it. So that player that player won by getting the treasure. But yeah, it was a really good game. It's a really unique game. I've not really played anything like this before. It's a bit of an odd sort of theme and way that the mechanisms work. But I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I thought it was really good. It's got a bit of deduction in there, a bit of bluffing, a bit of is it telling us the truth? Because sometimes some of the clues that it gives you can be false, so it can kind of lead you down the wrong path if you're not careful.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of bluffing involved and a bit of deduction. So yeah, it was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. So that was one of the games I played, Treasure Island.
Cool. I'm trying to find. There's a game that's very similar that I have played. That sounds very similar that I've played. I'm just trying to see if I can find it. One of the photos from Gloucester Board Gamers. So I played that where basically you're on an island and you're trying to get certain resources, and you play a card and it limits where things are. So there's a little bit of that deduction. So it's not quite you've got to find the treasure and there's only one, but there is the ruling things out. And so you're playing cards to rule things out, and then you've got to try and get to that site as well as to where things are. So it's trying to work out, if I played this card, it's going to limit the location to this point, and then I've got to get there in time before somebody else. And if I don't, then I'm absolutely scuppered. So, but I can't remember the name of it. But I was listening to it thinking the Treasure Island seems pretty cool, fits the theme, the gameplay fits the name and exactly what you'd think.
Surprisingly thematic, it was.
But I was thinking there are a few that are a bit similar where you've got a bit of that deduction, but can I remember the name of this? No, I can't. So,
maybe it'll come to you later on, or we can add it in later.
Probably not. It's probably something that I played before Christmas, and so my brain is probably going to go. No, I know I've played it, but it's too long ago. Stupid head. So, I'm going to talk about a game also from a very similar time. It was it's Rise of Moloch, and I got this. I backed it from Kickstarter when I was living in Sheffield, and I took it with me to AirCon. I think it was either 2018 or 2019. So I know that it came out, and it was because I've got the other World of Smog game, which I've talked on here before, called On Her Majesty's Service. And I thought, I'd like to play Rise of Moloch, and it's a very different game. Rise of Moloch is very much a one versus many game where one person is effectively the baddos, and the other players, and it's a board game role-playing type game, are the good characters, and they're called the gentlemen, even though some of them are ladies, and think of them as a Victoriana steampunk with aliens and magic, and they are kind of like the Secret Service, but back in this steampunk Victoriana. It's a really nice sort of game in terms of when you know what's going on. It's great. Unfortunately, when I've played it back in 2018 with my wife, she wasn't in the headspace quite then. I was still learning how to play the games, and it takes her a while to understand the strategies. I unearthed it back in February, March, because my son is now old enough to be able to get to grips with it. So instead of it being myself versus my wife or anyone else we can get in, it can now be I can run things, and there's at least two people to play. And so they both play as two of the gentlemen, because you have to have 4 gentlemen. It's designed for 1 baddie and 4 gentlemen, and you can either have 4 people and each play a gentleman, or mix up who's playing on the different characters. And so I also took it to Gloucester Board Gamers once I played it again at home to know what's going on. And yeah, it does the the theme is really nice because it's a role-playing game. You have a lot of backstory. The miniatures that came with it, which, let's be fair, as people probably listen to the podcast know, I like my miniatures occasionally. And that was definitely what piqued my interest at the start. But gameplay-wise, you put out the tiles, set it all up. So this is what you're trying to achieve as the goodies. And on their turn, the goodies can basically do 2 actions. And it's either 2 move actions or a variety of different combat actions or interact and other things. And as a baddie, I get to do 2 actions with my characters, but the unique element is the order in which you activate. So there is a board where you've got activation numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But numbers 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, you put a face down card, which are all the gentlemen, so the goodies. And the baddie puts down their characters that they're going to activate in 2, 4, 6, 8. And I have to choose where I'm putting my activations first. Then I tend to leave the room to let the good or disappear if need be, to let the goodies work out a strategy and where they're going to place things. So you reveal who's activated, do things with them, and then the next one, there is a little bit of thinking of how you're going to activate things, but also there's this power called ether, and the goodies can pick this up by a variety of ways, one of which is a dice roll from their combat. They can use it for either a success or getting more ether. But this ether enables them to power up certain abilities or equipment. And when they do that, the baddie, me as the nemesis, gets that for me to distribute to use some of my nemesis foot powers or generate chaos cards or to let my chaos agents do things.
So are they actually giving it to you then and you're using it?
They're giving it to me. So if they don't use this ether, I am bled dry. So you've got this really interesting mechanic of, if I do this powerful thing, I'm helping the baddie. So when do I spend it? And the first time we played it, and I now understand why, my wife and people I was explaining to, I gave them because I was learning it, I hadn't emphasized this trouble with the ether, and they'd gone for things like, oh, this ether is really good, this is really powerful, and then they're spending ether and didn't realize that they were turning me from villain to supervillain quite quickly. And so the second time round, knowing that how much this can really be beneficial for me, they were a lot more choosy on when using the ether. So So instead of having every round I can do quite powerful things, I've had to be more careful and go, right, I'm holding on to my resources, right, you think you're nearly there. Now I'm going to have a really, really nasty turn and try to undo all the good work you've done. And so far, I've not managed it. I've got close. I mean, the goodies have won the last 3 games we've played. But I mean, literally, this is the penultimate turn, and they've managed to get the thing off the board or get through the sewers or whatever it was. And it had that at the edge of your seats. Are we going to succeed? Are we not? And so for a role-playing game, if you've got that balance so right that they do win, but only just, or if I had one, they nearly would have done. I think that's a really nice balance. It gives that tension, it gives that emotion, and that's what you want, as well as the challenge of how you do things, what's your best option of cards or abilities and other things. You want that emotional connect for a role-playing style game.
Yeah. So you were saying that you were the nemesis, you're the sort of bad guys.
I've been the bad guys because someone needs to set things up. I've looked at bits in the past. My wife really doesn't like doing that kind of thing. Yeah. And my son's only 12, and whilst I'm sure He will inherit the how to be an evil Whatsit at some point. I think at 12 it's probably just get used to playing.
So you kind of controlling the monsters, or do you get characters as well? Do you get like character to run?
So I have
just the guy who runs the.
So
story
for
kind of
the
thing.
baddie, I have normally 4 activation cards. So there's 2 Chaos Agents, and so this is for one to let's use James Bond as an example. This is going to be Blofeld and one of their agents, or Goldfinger and Oddjob. So the 2 major baddos. Then you have got the minions activation, and so these are all the mooks, and they all activate at one point. And then there's what's known as the just generic Nemesis activation. And so I can't activate any of those characters, but what I can do is use any of my force powers or just general the universe is being evil options. And so occasionally you can do things in this part by activating certain powers. So some of the powers can be activate 2 minions or do this with an agent. But generally, it can be quite useful to just play in between certain actions so that the players, the goodies, are still trying to guess when is Oddjob going to activate? When is Goldfinger going to do his shenanigans or whatever?
Yeah. And you were saying about the... what was I going to ask now?
Miniatures?
No, I was going to ask you something else, but it's gone. It'll come back to me. Yeah, miniatures do look nice, yeah.
Because I backed on Kickstarter, and I think this is the real reason why this has not done as well as it probably deserved, is because this came at a time when Call Mini or Not were very hot on we've got Zombicide, we've got this game, we've got other games, and they released the box, and then on Kickstarter you could buy the expansions. You got so much as stretch goals that were not available for the main game. And I think that's a shame because you can't... the main game is good, but when you are literally getting twice the number of goodies to choose from, people are going to go, well, why am I going to buy it from the store?
Yeah.
I want the Kickstarter option, And also for Kickstarter, I got a bunch of other miniatures for... These are extra chapters that you can fit in. So the main mission is something like 6 or 7 chapters long, but I can bulk it up by using some of the miniatures from the Kickstarter and have, here's an extra in the middle chapter where you can do things. And then it's still got that intermission phase, which I should have mentioned. So after each game where you've done a mission on the board, there's what's called an intermission, where you go into London and the characters get to go to a particular location to either get more equipment or learn a skill or go to the arsenal and pick up more weapons. And there's 3 spaces which are very unique places to go to. A is going to power up the agents, but also, depending on where they go to, gives, again, options for me as the Nemesis to make either some of the minions a bit stronger or a particular agent better at shooting or better at melee or something like that. So there's always that risk-reward, which is quite nice.
Yeah. So you say you backed it on Kickstarter this. Did you get all the extra stuff as well with it then?
I got all the extra stuff. I mean, literally, you back on So to back on Kickstarter for the main game, you got the main game, and with it, you got the Embassy expansion, which is a nice little 3-chapter option, plus almost twice the number of plastic miniatures. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was brilliant, but you are going to look at what you've got on Kickstarter with, I'm going to buy this on the shop and go, why?
Yeah.
But this was Cool Mini Simon going, this is how you do Kickstarters. We're going to give you the FOMO And back this because you're not going to get it, and it means it's not a strong product in comparison. The game is great. I like it, but I think it'd have a bit more variability and an option if you could have the Kickstarter stuff.
Yeah.
But you don't.
Yeah, I remembered what I was going to ask now. Is it like a campaign? Do you start at sort of one, or is it like a scenario thing where
Yes,
you can just
it's a
pick a scenario?
campaign. You've
So you
got
work
about
through it.
6 chapters,
Yeah,
and
bit by
whoever
bit.
wins
Yeah.
each chapter will have an impact. If you don't win every chapter, you can still be successful with the gentleman. It obviously does make it a little bit easier for the baddie, for the nemesis to do so, but it's not critical. And I think chapter 1 for the main game is a lot trickier for the gentleman because they've not really had time to get any much equipment,
Yeah.
and so therefore they're a little bit on the back foot.
Yeah.
Playing the Embassy expansion, you start it with the gentleman having some equipment. And so whilst it does enable the Nemesis to power up some agents and things, it really does help the gentlemen, the goodies, to tune their characters a little bit more. And then they have that intermission where they go and get extra tools or equipment or skills. And realistically, the game comes alive when you can get a few more bits of equipment. And so campaign in the main box, that first chapter really is a bit more of a hurdle, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah. Okay. So my next one then is a small card game. So probably the opposite of Rise of Moloch. This is a game called Faraway. This is from 2023. Plays between 2 and 6 players, and it takes between 15 and 30 minutes. We play this 5-player, and it's a little deck of cards. The cards are sort of square, and on them they have various sort of things on there. So they will have a couple of symbols which are used for scoring. They might have a number. So the number is how good the card is. So the best card in the game will have like a number 80 on it. Some of the lower cards, like a number 20, will only have like a couple of symbols on it, perhaps. So they all have a unique number on them as well. And the other thing is they have the actual scoring as well. So perhaps they might have some scoring. So, for example, for every type of symbol that you collect, you'll get a couple of points. Or if you have lots of blue and green cards, you'll get points. So if you have a certain set of cards, you'll get points. So the way it works is you have a hand of 3 cards, and you draft some from the centre of the table, and you play a card. You do it simultaneously, and then reveal it. And then after those numbers, the lower numbers will be the first to pick out of the draft which cards they want. So that's a nice little balancing thing. You might play a card that's slightly worse than the rest of them, but you'll get first dibs of the cards that are in the centre of the table that are ready for the next round. So that's a nice little twist on it. But the main thing is that once you've played 8 cards, you score them. So that's why it's only a fairly quick game. You just play 8 cards in total. So all the players will have 8 cards in front of them. But you kind of go it from back to front. You go backwards. So it sounds really complicated when you try and explain it, but when you're actually playing it, it makes complete sense. You basically lay out your cards in a row. So you've got a row of 8 cards, and then you flip them all down so they face down. And then you turn over the last card that you put down, so the card on the far right-hand side, you flip that over and you score it. So that'll be, obviously, there's only one card visible at this point, even though you've collected all those symbols previously. You're only looking at that one particular card. So it might score nothing, it might score a couple of points or whatever. But then you turn over the next card, the next lowest card from the right, and then you score. You've got 2 visible now that you score, and then 3, and then 4, and then so on. Right. So when you're picking your first cards, there's kind of a lot of planning involved as to what you think you're going to do for the rest of the game, because that's the first card that you play is going to have the most opportunity. You're going to have all your other cards in front of it to score them. So it's quite important that you get your scoring sort of your strategy in place in those first couple of cards. And then towards the end, you're just collecting symbols, saying you've got a load of symbols that you're trying to collect to try and activate these cards and score them and get as many points as you can. So those two things, the drafting and the scoring from back to front, they kind of make this a bit of a unique game. Other than that, it's sort of basically set collection. You're just collecting different cards points based on symbols and things. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was good. It all kind of made sense. The symbols are pretty good. The icons are pretty good on there.
So Rick, from what you're saying,
yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
I was just going to say, it looks like some of the games that I've played before, where the first time you play it, you're trying to get an idea of how everything works, and it very much comes alive on the second time, so that you know how to do the early game, having done a late game once before. Is that kind of true?
Yeah. Your first game is just going to be a learning game because you kind of have it explaining. You're like, right, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'll just pick a card and then you're away. But yeah, once you've got that scoring and you've played it the first time, you shuffle up and play again and you're ready to go. Like I say, it's like 20-minute game. So it's definitely one way. You need to sort of see how it works before you actually get a competitive score on there. And if you've played with somebody else before as well, I think last time I played with some people who played it a few times, and this was my second play. And they absolutely thrashed me.
I was going to say, did you get rinsed? Right.
Yeah. But it was fun. It was good. It was good trying to work out, the best cards to pick from the display and what order you want to put them down in and things like that. And you are fairly limited because, like I say, you've only got a hand of 3 cards. So you only got those 3 choices to play on your next turn. And it's trying to get the right strategy of, which cards you want to score, which ones you're just going to ignore, and which symbols you're going to pick up. So, but yeah, I enjoyed it. It was good. And like I say, it's a fairly quick, nice little portable game that you can sort of stick in your backpack or your bag and play somewhere fairly easily.
I was going to say, it looks like an end of an evening game that you played something and going, right, either don't want to quite go home yet, or the person either got a lift with is still playing, or the person I'm giving a lift to is still playing. So let's play this for a little bit. And
perfect for that. Yeah, perfect little for the game. Yeah,
it also looks like it's a pretty decent price as well. I had it looking at Board Game Geek. Not only can you see the cards look a really pretty, but a unique style of pretty, if that makes sense.
Yeah. The artwork is pretty good. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah. It's fairly unique, and like I said, the graphic designers are really good. It's easy to tell what colour they are. All the symbols are really easy to see, and obviously you can see. You need to keep an eye on the other people as well, what symbols they're collecting. So if you're collecting maps and you see somebody across the table collecting maps as well, you have to decide if you want to swap or keep going for it. So it looks all really nice, and the cards are like square as well. They're not like normal cards; they're like square, which is adds to the nice aesthetic of it.
I was going to say, it looks like as well, whilst you're going for colours, they've got a symbol linked to the colour as well. So even if you've got colour sensitivities like the other Tom, who's often on, has got some colour blindness, they're not going to be disadvantaged either, which looks really good. Yeah. And it's won a bunch of awards.
So it seems quite popular. Yeah, I've seen it a few times at the club. So I've only played it a couple of times, but I've seen a few other people playing it. I think it is that because it's so quick and easy to play. Even for new players, if you've not played it before, it's fairly easy to sort of pick up and just pick a card and play it, and then pick another card. So it's fairly straightforward. Although, like I say, you won't do well on your first turn, but on your first game. But it definitely encourages you to play it again because you'll think, I can do better next time.
I'm definitely tempted to pick this up at the end of the month. Because I think that would be a nice new one to go in for the end of an evening bag that, Spots gets played quite often at an end of an evening, and Deep Sea Quest, by UK Games, and I think this one could fill that kind of a gap.
Yeah. Yep, so that's another game that I've played. That's called Faraway.
Well, I'm going to keep on a theme because we opened up, as I said, Rise of Moloch back in March, played it, enjoyed it, but it's only got a limited number of chapters, and critically, it requires at home me to be the baddie, which, as a dad, I am the baddie. It is exactly, but sometimes it's nice to not be the baddie.
Yeah.
So, literally picked up courtesy of a reduced price on eBay, the Mac Daddy of RPG board games. So we've now got Gloomhaven.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, picking it up, my wife was at home, it got delivered. She swore at me because literally, I can imagine there on TV, there is a cartoon and you see someone turn up built as like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and you can have the pun and say, "What do you do?" Well, I'm a shelf stacker. What kind of shelves? Well, at a board game store, sure. And then you go there and you've got Gloomhaven everywhere. I mean, this is a box.
It's a big old box, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, it's a big box, but it's heavy. I mean, It is properly packed. It's not the cheapest of games.
Mm-hmm.
But I've heard of people who play it a lot. We've only played 2 or 3 missions.
Yeah.
Out of 95 plus, I don't know exactly how many, but a load in sort of like the standard ones, and then reading through the rules that there's ways to do sort of on the spot sort of missions as well. Mm-hmm. So it's a case of this has got so much replayability that its cost per hour of play, I think, is going to end up being pretty cheap. It's just the initial outlay, you'd go, oh my word, but I think it's got so much game time in it, it's actually going to be quite economical. Most importantly, after our first game, my wife didn't want me to sleep outside, which 5 years ago, 6 years ago with Rise of Moloch, she was very upset with me, and this one we weren't. So I'm going to consider that a win.
Yeah.
So, similar to Rise of Moloch and other role-playing games of the sort, the premise is you get put on a mission, and the first mission is Black Barrow, and you've got some tiles that are where you're going to be doing the mission. You've got your characters between 2 and I think 4, and it's against the game itself. It's all cooperative. You've got your own special quest you're trying to do. So as a character, they've got their own campaign quest that in secret they're trying to achieve, and for each scenario, they've got their battle quest, which helps you unlock things. So you've got what you're trying to achieve, but you're still trying to succeed in the scenario with your team. And you start off with 6 different characters to choose from, but looking in the box, I think there's something like 20, which we've not delved into as yet. We're keeping that as a secret. What's really cool is the main mechanic of how you play the game, which is on your turn. So at the start of each turn, you choose 2 cards to play, and you're really supposed to keep the dialogue with your team kind of limited. You can give generic things such as, I'm planning to have an early initiative or a middle initiative or a late initiative, which, being honest, the first game we played completely went out the window because my wife and my son were trying to understand it. So they're saying, oh, I'm going initiative this. Oh, I'm going initiative that. And it's like, right. And I was like, no, this is a learning game. We're going to get used to it. Once we've played this one, they'll understand how their characters work. They understand the game I'm trying to teach and they're trying to learn. We'll be proper next time. And next time it worked much better. So, so anyone who goes, heathens, sometimes you've got to be a heathen to get to the gameplay. But anyway, getting back to the point, you have a hand of cards. Some characters, it's 8 cards. Some characters, it's 9, 10, or 11. You choose 2. You choose one of them to be your lead card, and there's a number in the middle, and that's your initiative, determining when you go. So when everyone's chosen their 2 cards, you reveal your cards and go, this is my initiative, blah, 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 blah. And then you turn over the ability cards for the baddies that you can see. And then you find out who's going first based on the initiative. Hopefully you get to react before the baddies damage you, but that's not always the case. but you choose either the top half of one card and the bottom of another. So getting your combos right are really important. There's a generic ability for each card, which is either move to or attack to for the bottom and the top respectively. So you can always do that regardless. And then when you've done your options, they will most of the time go to discard. A couple of them will go immediately to a lost area, or a few give you active abilities that remain until that active ability finishes, and then it will either go to lost or discard. But this lost or discard part is really important, because when you've used up all the cards in your hand, and even beforehand if you want to, you get to choose to take a rest. You can either take a short rest or a long rest. When you take a rest, you pick up the cards from your discard pile, but one has to go into the lost pile. A short rest, that card is chosen at random. A long rest takes up your whole turn. So it can't be done at the end of the turn. When you've played cards, it has to be done an entire turn. You do nothing else except take a long rest. You will gain some energy, refresh some abilities, which is good on a long rest, and you choose which card. But critically, you're going to be reducing the number of cards in your hand. So if you play for too long or too inefficiently, you're going to become exhausted because you've got no cards. So it really gives you that time pressure of, if I play too many cards with a lost ability and it goes straight to my lost, I'm not going to see that card again. And so I'm going to run out of being able to do things. And on our second game, we won when I would have taken a long rest my next game turn and then be exhausted after the turn after that. My wife was pretty much at that point, and my son was sat there going, well, I've been a lot more efficient, you muppet. And I could keep going because he had about 5 or 6 cards, so he could keep going for a little bit. But the two of us were going, we're going to become exhausted in a minute, and then there's going to be all about it. So, yes, we were schooled by a 12-year-old. But it is nice the way in which you are thinking about what you're doing. When you level up, so go from level 1 to level 2, the baddies have got an envelope, and the baddie card, you put it in so that you see level 1 if you're at that level of game. If you're more advanced, you rotate it so you've got level 2 visible, or level 3 or level 4. It doesn't matter what mission you're playing next. You could be a level 5 party and go and play one of the scenarios, because there's some scenarios that appear randomly, and go, you can play that as level 5 and it will scale to you, or you can play it as level 1 and it will scale to you. And that's really quite a nice element of it. But the game develops. It's a legacy game. So when you complete the scenario, you tick off certain things. You've got city events and road events that can happen in between the scenarios as well. And at the top of the main board, which is a map of Gloomhaven and its area, you've got a space for banners when you've achieved certain objectives, but there's a prosperity track on the bottom. And when I first looked, it's like, well, what's this? And the prosperity track is when Gloomhaven gains in prosperity, you tick on there, and at level 2, more things are available in the city, and level 3 and level 4. But critically as well, when one of your character completes its campaign quest, you will join the party with a new character, possibly a different character class. Well, what level do they start at? If the city's at prosperity level 1, they start at level 1. But if it's got to level 3 because you're quite right through the campaign, you start at level 3. So it tells you whereabouts you start as a character. So you don't go, I've got to start all the way at the beginning and you're all awesome. No, you get to start with a more awesome version of a character. And that's really quite cool in its simplicity is how to start things off. So I'm just been impressed at the depth of game, and possibly I should have spoken about the game a little bit more once I've played more than a couple of games. But I've just been impressed by all the options. We've enjoyed it as a family,
Yeah.
and the fact that it is a legacy game of sort, but it really does key into the role playing elements as well.
It has got a lot of that role playing and a bit of story in there, and the town visits in between and things like that, hasn't it, as well?
Yeah.
It's not just like a dungeon crawl or like a combat game. It's got all this other stuff around it as well, which is quite cool. The only thing I didn't like about it, this one, is the setup and the actual admin of it. Luckily, I played somebody else's copy, so he was in charge of that. But you have to build the maps beforehand and then figure out what cards to put in and what monsters to put in there. There's quite a lot of sort of setup and downtime in between while he was doing all that and setting all that up. That's the only thing that I found.
I can see how that's a bit of a pain. What we've done is made sure that some of the cards are all kept together. So I've got one set which is the active city cards and road cards, and so there is a little bit. I think a good organizer is what pays dividends.
Yeah,
so I spent. So I went into somewhere like B&M or Home Bargain or Hobbycraft and got a nice little organising box. So I put all my standees and all the tokens, and they've got their own little space in this plastic box.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
If I put them into baggies, I would have been pulling my hair out on the second mission, because it's like, where the hell are these damn things?
Yeah,
but they're not. They're all in a space, and they're all kind of linked. So you go, right, we're just taking these ones out in this bit, and it's not been too dreadful. So I think if you've got a good organisation system, it's okay.
Yeah.
If you don't, I can understand why it's a bit dreadful.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's a huge box of crammed full of stuff as well, isn't it? It's like absolutely loads of stuff in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Okay. So shall we move on to question of the week then?
I think we should move on to question of the week before I digress even further.
Okay. Board Games Expo. Is that what it's called? Board Games?
UK Games Expo.
UK Games Expo. Sorry, my bad. UK Games Expo. So this is... sorry. This is the upcoming convention. You know more about it than I do. I went to the Aircon one not long ago, so unfortunately I can't go to this one as well. But you've got plans to go, I think. Is that right?
I'm going. Well, the first time I went to UK Games Expo, my son was in nappies. He's definitely not in nappies now. So yes, we're going for a few days. So I've been there on a stand as a punter. And for other people. So I'm doing running a few events. The Trial for Position, which is for youngsters for BattleTech. So an introductory game where you'll get a mech, have a painting session, and I'll do an introductory game. So I'm doing that for part of it, but I'm still going with my family. So most of Saturday it'll be family time, and also some of the events. Last year, I went with my family to the Dark Room, which was brilliant. So previously we hadn't done any of these events there as well. And we're definitely working out this weekend, what are we getting tickets for? So we kind of make a decision on the half-term week. We go, right, where do we want to go to? So I'd love to be able to say, I know what we're going to look at, but I don't, because that is going to be our half-term week. I'm half tempted to go and try Galactic Cruise, because I've heard a lot of good things about that at Duranda Games. I want to see what some of the new hotness is. So that'll be our Saturday afternoon. But there's still the open gaming and other things. So I just find it is such a buzz to go around. I like to make sure I've got an hour or two just to drift around the peripheral edges and go to all of the independents and see what's there. My son loves the cosplay bit, so at some point there will be a beeline to the cosplay. and the inevitable upteenth photo of him in front of the TARDIS or a Dalek or both, because he's a major Whovian.
Right, yeah.
But Asmodee will have a huge presence, and their gaming area is great to go to.
Yeah.
And we picked up an expansion for Catan this year, so we might go and drift to the Catan area to go, well, which other expansion? Because despite hefting out a huge amount on Gloomhaven, we're trying to consolidate a little bit our board games collection for not too many new things, but things that have got replayability or expansions of stuff that we've already got. So
Right.
I think we might go and drop on Catan at some point as well.
Right. So, whereabouts is it? Sorry, where did you say?
So it's at the NEC. So
Okay.
I can't. Last few years, it's been Hall 1 and 2, and then a different hall. I think Hall 3 for open gaming and tournaments and stuff. This year, however, things have changed because one of the halls, and I'd love to say I know which one, but I can't. You've got one hall is not in use because it's been refurbished or something. I can't remember, and so therefore they've moved the halls around a smidgen.
Right.
So, but yeah, it's going to, it's been huge. The first time I went, it was just in the Hilton, and every time since then, it has been in the trade halls, and they've just been enormous, and it's brilliant. So
yeah, I think Lizzie and Tom spoke about it before, and they've said that it's the one of the larger ones, and there's a lot to see and do in those days that it's open. There's a lot to experience.
I don't think I'd really want to go for just one day, unless I was very focused and didn't mind missing things. I think you need to have time. Plus, I've normally gone and almost certainly will spend Friday and or Saturday evening in an open gaming somewhere. Right. So you've got the trade hall open from, I think, 9 till 6.
Yeah.
But you can pretty much hang around until 11 o'clock.
Okay. Yeah.
In the designated spaces, either in the NEC halls or at the Hilton. You can go to the Hilton bar, which is fair enough, but it's A, expensive, and B, slow service, and very difficult to play games there. But the open gaming space, there's loads of spaces in the Hilton and in the main NEC hall. One year, I ended up in a sort of impromptu, I think it was about 9 o'clock, playing a game of Blood on the Clock Tower with people I hadn't played with before. And so you've got the fact, like at Aircon, people just want to play games with people.
Yeah,
and doesn't care if, some people do mind if you've not played, but there are often welcoming people to come and play a game with, even,
that's good.
Know.
Yeah. So the Aircon have the lightsabers and the sort of the app and stuff like that where you can message people. Is there anything like that at Games Expo? Do you just wander around and just look for like flags or something? Or
I think there's some flags. They have had an app in the past. I think they might do this year.
Right. So,
the difficulty is we're still a month away.
Yeah.
Only just under a month. Realistically, it's the 30th of May, so 4 weeks tomorrow. Yeah. But they've said who's coming, but it's not quite so easy to plan. And as I said, we normally plan as a family the holiday week running up to it. Yeah. When everything's sort of a bit easier to plan. But there have been apps in the past. I think there still is an app. I don't know if that's for...
I'm guessing if you go to the webpage, it'll tell you there'll be a bit more information on there about the events and the stuff that's happening and stuff, I guess. That's usually how it works, isn't it?
But there's going to be tournaments. There's many events going on. Podcasts. There's... what else is there? Oh, the Bring and Buy is insane.
I've heard that. Yeah.
I mean, it's brilliant,
Yeah.
but I mean, it. At the time, I've seen some people wheeling in the things they are taking to Bring and Buy, and the very same people wheeling stuff that they've bought from Bring and Buy, hoping that they've managed to flog everything else.
Yeah.
So. But it, from what I've understood, it is fairly slick. The
Right.
submit your Bring and Buy, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's a monster of a thing to organise as
Right.
well.
Yeah. I can
So
imagine. Yeah.
props to the maniacs that.
Yeah. I bet the
organise.
Bring a Bar will be good because there'll be a lot of stuff in there, won't there? A lot of variety of different games at
Yeah.
reasonable prices. So yeah.
Yeah,
So
the
always good to
prices are
check
all
out.
pretty decent,
Yeah.
and yeah, so they have sensibly put a maximum number of saleable items every day.
Oh, right. Okay.
So yes, so you don't have someone emptying their cupboard or room or
Right. Or bringing the
delicately for
shop down
what's
or
a
whatever.
shame.
Yeah.
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 So.
Right. And are you stopping over? Are you stopping?
So we're really lucky. My wife's school friend lives in Coventry, but the
Right.
correct side of Coventry. So
Oh,
we're
okay.
going over there, and her hotel rates are dreadful. I mean, literally, she said, "You buy me tickets to go and join you. You can stay at mine." So we've got
Right.
knockdown prices, and she's
That's
15,
awesome.
20
Yeah, that's
minutes
really
drive
good.
away.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's so last year we went for the on the Saturday.
Yeah.
Went back to my wife's friend's house, had something to eat. Then myself and my son went back to the expo. We met up
Oh,
some
right.
people, played some BattleTech, and did some
Yeah.
other things.
Yeah.
Whilst my wife went, "You maniacs can go play games. I need my beauty sleep."
Fantastic. Yeah, that's handy, isn't it? Yeah, that's really good.
So yeah, to get to the wrong side of Birmingham will take longer. So
Yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah, sounds
massively
good.
looking
Yeah.
forward to it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear how it goes when you've actually been and you get back. Yeah, but it takes a bit of planning, doesn't it, to get everything organised and get everything set up and ready to do these things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I've not been to that one, and I'll have to try and arrange to get there maybe next year or something like that. But I know Lizzie and Tom have spoken about it before, and they said it's an absolutely huge place and something you want to experience at some point. So yeah, definitely try and get around to it at some point. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Anything else, or is that just about wrap it up?
I think that's about it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Tom, thank you for coming on as usual. It's been excellent talking to you. Thank you very much.
Good to talk to you again, Rick.
We've been Sheffield Board Gamers. Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Goodbye for now.